I think we face a unique moment in the world today. Today, there is what I call a chemistry of circumstance. We have young people today in the deep sleuths and the Kailishas here, 60 to 70% of them who have very few skills after 12 years of education, no jobs and unlikely to have the dignity of labor in their lifetime. But they share something in common with kids in the slums of Lagos, or in the slums of Mumbai, or in the slums of Sao Paulo, or including in the developed world, in Spain and Madrid, in Greece and Athens. Today, there is a fact of life that the jobs, decent work, has become more and more out of the reach of the next generation. So we have to ask ourselves the question, is the system working? And clearly the answer that I've heard across many of the travels and discussions I've had is the system is not working for the majority. And just as much as we have won the right to an 8-hour working day, to maternity right, to social protection, we won it because we had power. And that's what we have to ask ourselves the question today, do we have power? And I think we have to look ourselves clearly in the mirror and ask ourselves, are we on the defensive? Do we understand what organizing in the 21st century is? Do we understand that this knowledge revolution has had a bigger impact on the nature of work than even the Industrial Revolution had? That it has to make us relook our organizations, our organizing strategies, our negotiating strategies, about how we look at informal work. In Africa, in sub-Saharan Africa, 9 out of 10 jobs are informal. How many of us organize informal workers? 2/3 or 40% of the global economy is today informal. What do we do to represent those people that are increasing along the work chain? I think today what we need is a new global political narrative that takes a stand, because the knowledge revolution has been captured by an elite. It has created a world where inequality and poverty are increasing, where marginalization of particularly the next generation is increasing. That we have the reality that 85 people in the world today control more wealth than 3.5 billion people. Now, can we build peace in a society that excludes and marginalizes and alienates so many people? We cannot. So let us go back to the lessons about how we built power, how we negotiated, how we engaged our opponents, and how we created the rights. And go back to the day, the International Day of Human Rights, and go back to our declaration in 1948, which guaranteed every single citizen of this world inalienable rights to fairness, to human dignity, and to social justice. And ask ourselves the question today, how many of us enjoy those rights? What do we need to do today to make sure those rights are guaranteed for our children? And I think we will come back to this thing of saying, what do we need to do differently? How do we build the links between the formal and informal economy? How do we build the relationship and an intergenerational conversation on justice and human dignity and work, the work itself? How do we build an alliance with environmental groups, human rights groups, so that we build a coalition as powerful as the coalitions that ended slavery, that ended apartheid? And that coalition should be a coalition of power about the world that we want, that guarantees the dignity of labor, that guarantees shared growth, that guarantees the fundamental human rights of every human being. Thank you very much.